Hey, Champion Nation. Welcome to the Champion Nation podcast. You ever heard the song or the saying, follow the leader? You know, most of us, actually, all of us, are either following the leader, following the follower, or leading the following. You know, and all of us are actually all of those three things at the same time. Now, I don't know about following the follower. I don't know if you want to be that person. But, today I have the opportunity to sit down and chat with Stephen Morris, the founder of Renowned Leadership. He's going to talk about champion leadership, how he went from victim to champion. Hey, Champion Nation. I could not wait for this conversation today. I am a proponent of leadership. I am a student of leadership. Anytime that I get to encounter a conversation with someone and they bring up the topic of leadership, I am focused. I am zeroed into the topic. My first introduction to leadership was John C. Maxwell. Many of you may know him, and that was my introduction to leadership. And from there, I started bouncing around, reading different things, and I came across this renowned leader that that we have here by the name of Stephen. Stephen, welcome to the Champion Nation. How you doing, sir?
I am fantastic, Kayshawn. Thank you so much for having me here. First of all, it is an honor and a privilege, and thank you for such an amazing introduction. I really appreciate it, brother.
I know. Thank you. The honor is all mine, and I know our viewers as well as our listeners. This is a topic that many of us could just, stay on this day in and day out. There are so many. You have theory, you have practical studies, you have tactical strategies. I mean, leadership is multifaceted. And,
hmm
by you being on the show, I would love to hear your perspective on how you got started, we're going to get into all of that. Just first introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, man. First of all, my name is Stephen Morris, like you said, founder and CEO of Renowned Leadership and host of the Renowned Leadership podcast. My father, a husband, veteran, and man, all kinds of things in my life, actually, now that I think about it. Anyway, yeah, I got started in leadership when I was 18 years old, man. When I joined the military August 17th, 2001, a few weeks before September 11th. And in the
Wow.
military, and I can't speak for the other branches. I assume they're all the same because most things are, but when it comes to military, but in the military, you're taught leadership from day one, and it starts in very small pieces of leadership, and then you're just advancing on it as you go. Because if you're in the military long enough, especially during wartime, you're going to be put in charge of people's lives. And, a lot of times, in a lot of cases, your decisions are going to determine whether they
Wow.
live or die, and so you don't have time to pan, to, I want to use a bad word here to, just, meander around the topic. No,
Okay.
you gotta be like focused, laser focused on your decisions and how you lead. So that's how I got introduced to it. Fast forward to 2013, I was in Afghanistan, got shot 3 times. Um,
Wow.
I managed to drag my career on a few more years, and in July 2017, the Army said that it's time for you to get out. You've been into, or you're too damaged, and so I transitioned out of the military, and I was shocked to see the lack of leadership in the civilian world. I just couldn't believe it. Now, don't get me wrong, military leadership is not perfect. It is flawed from the floor to the ceiling, man. But I would say military leadership is hands over hands over fist better than what I see in the civilian world on a daily basis.
Mhm.
So I had a very strict rule in the military with all my subordinates. If you have a problem, if you want to complain about something, you better have one solution to bring
I
with it.
love it. I love it.
And so, being a practitioner of my own policies, I'm like, you know what? I see this problem. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm going to fix it. So I created Renowned Leadership, to help fix the leadership woes of the world.
I love that. Thank you so much for that introduction. The mere fact that I have the honor of sitting at a virtual table with someone who diligently served our country. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you for your service,
Thank you.
Stephen. Getting shot 3 times. Do you mind? Was it in your arm, your leg? I mean, if you can
No,
share
all three
that.
were in the torso. Um, so basically, what happened was my sling of my rifle got caught inside the Humvee. So I reached in the Humvee to, as I was getting out, it got caught. I reached in to unhook it. And when I stood back up and shut the door to the Humvee, I turned and there's a man coming out of a market. And as he was coming out, he was lifting an AK-47 from underneath his man dress. And by the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. I had no time to react. Just got squared with God and
I bet.
and ate 3 bullets.
I bet. But you know what? There's a saying. I don't know who actually said it, but it said, champions eat challenges for breakfast. So it's
Yo,
so it
I
seems
ate
like
it.
you ate those bullets for breakfast, lunch, and or dinner. But let's continue the conversation with leadership. You touched on, in the civilian life there are some opportunities for growth and leadership, and military was the same thing. So what are some of the most important leadership skills that you've learned over your 21 years being, because you've been on both sides of the coin. So
Mm-hmm.
what's one of the most important skills that you learned, leadership skills that you learned in your 21
uh,
years?
so first of all, something you said I want to touch on real quick before I answer your question, and that is leadership skills that I've learned. One of the most frustrating things in the world to me are when people say, oh, that person's a natural born. JFK was a natural born leader. Martin Luther King was a natural born leader. And if you go read about Dr. King, you learn very quickly he absolutely was not a natural born leader. He did not want to do what he was doing,
Correct.
right? So I mean,
Right.
there's nothing natural about what Dr. King did. There was nothing natural about what JFK did, or Ronald Reagan, or George Washington, or any of the other great leaders of history. They rose to a challenging occasion, right? That's what made them
Absolutely.
great leaders. The skills they have, JFK, great example, and Dr. King as well. They were both very charismatic. Those are probably skills they were born
I
with,
I
but
agree.
those skills did not make them great leaders. What made them a great leader was one thing, and one thing only, that they were taught by their parents, grandparents, whoever. They learned throughout their life, and that is integrity. If you
Mm,
go in a book, there are books, the 5 pillars of leadership, the 10 pillars of leadership, the 38 pillars of leadership. There's one. It's integrity. If you have integrity, you are going to have honor, commitment, loyalty. You're going to have your people's back. Integrity is going to encompass everything that you need to have to be a great leader. So when you get up in the morning, you look in yourself, or looking at yourself in the mirror, you look deep into your eyes and reflect: do I have integrity? Today, I'm going to have integrity. When I'm faced with a difficult challenge, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to display honor and respect to the people I'm dealing with. That is integrity, and that is what makes you a great leader.
I mean, that was perfectly, perfectly put. Let me ask you a question while we're on integrity. Is integrity something? Okay, you're not born to be a leader, but is integrity something that you're born with? Is it something that you have it
Mm-mm.
or you don't, or is it developed? What is it?
I don't think so. Growing up as a kid, I maybe had integrity sometimes, but when I got into the military, I learned quick, fast, and in a hurry that integrity was important, because you lie to drill sergeant, you're getting your face crushed, right? And it's not a good time. And everyone else in your platoon hates you because they're getting their face crushed too, because of your lack of integrity, your lack of honor, your lack of commitment, your lack of anything. You're getting crushed, be crushed for it, and it wasn't worth it. So I credit the military for really honing my integrity and giving me the desire to always focus on it. And you want to take me off, challenge my integrity. Like, we
Mm.
can have an open discussion of just about anything, but the second you start to challenge my integrity, you're going to take me off, because I'm so passionate about it. It's so important. Some people, yes, I would say some people are just naturally born with a certain level of integrity than others, but for the most part, I think it goes back to upbringing and your parents, your grandparents, your environment. It's definitely something you can learn throughout your life.
So being in the military and transitioning to civilian life, the word integrity. What were some of the challenges that you faced going from military life, as far as leadership is concerned, to civilian life? I see you
Yeah,
laughing over there.
yeah, it's laugh. I laugh because it just shows how big of a hypocrite I am. Um, because it challenged my integrity. You ask anyone that's a career soldier, airman, sailor, marine, they're going to tell you that they didn't serve all those years for VA benefits and disability benefits and all the crap that we get given when we get out. And I say crap, I know it's not crap, but just a word, people don't get mad. Um, but we say we don't do it for all that stuff, right? We don't do it for the thank you for your service comments we get from civilians. We don't do it for the holidays, the celebrate us and memorialize us. We do it for our battle buddies to our left and right. Um, and that's what almost anyone you ask will say. You fast forward to when you get out, you're thrust into this world of different. It's just completely different. Like, it's night and day different. It's black and white different. Like, it is
Wow.
it is different. And so what ended up happening to me and to a lot of veterans that I've spoken with, is we got put in this world where we couldn't communicate, first of all. The way I communicate to you, like using the F word, is literally just every other word
Right.
in military language.
Right.
It's not meant to be offensive. That's
Yeah.
that's just
Part of your
how we
vernacular.
communicate. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, right.
Yeah. No, I
And,
get it.
and literally, I can speak an entire sentence of nothing but the F word, and whoever I'm talking to, if they're from the military, they're going to understand exactly what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Um, and so civilians don't get that, and they do. I learned real quick they don't like that.
Not the F word. No, not the F word.
So I couldn't communicate, and the one just cursing, just the aggression in my voice when I would communicate, or the lack of perceived respect of, like, hey, you come from over there, come over here and do this, and that's
Mm.
it. No please, no
Mm.
thank you, no expanding on why, nothing, just you here now, do it. And that's how we communicate in the military. You can't communicate to civilians that way. They want to know the why. They want the courtesies. They want the politeness. They don't want the aggression. So just communication was hard. And then going from that to my perception, I actually literally just got done right before this writing an article about perception versus reality, or perception is reality, because that irritates me. I hate it when people say that. And so, my perception to what was going on around me was civilians were lazy. They had no motivation. They had no
Mm.
drive. They had no focus. They had no determination. They had no any good quality. They just sucked. And I just wanted to go
Wow.
back to the military.
Wow.
And so that led to me having this inflated ego of, I am better than any civilian out here because I did something hard for many, many years. They did not. They don't understand. And they just aren't in the same league as me. It took a mentor and my wife really to bring me back down from that and realize that my integrity had been compromised and I needed to get back on track.
Wow.
Once I did, it was a very painful process, but I will tell you, Um, that was the transitioning out of the military is the single hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and I would take getting shot again over having to transition out of the military again.
That
It
says a
was just
lot.
hard.
That says a lot.
I was depressed all the time, almost instantly. From I got out July 11th, 2017, and from July 12th, 2017 to about 3 years, I was just depressed. I was angry. I was sad. Pretty much you name it. I had it. I gained 80 pounds in 10 months. I went from weighing 220 to 300 in 10 months, because I was just eating my feelings, and I stopped working out. And the more weight I gained, the more depressed I got, because I used to be this fit fighting machine, and now I'm just like all the civilians that I absolutely hate. Just all these things just piled on top of me. And so, fast forward 5 years, actually 6 years, man, so it'll be 6 years in a couple of days. Wow. Um,
Congratulations.
so fast forward 6 years, and I'm back down to 220. I'm exercising every day, and I've got my integrity back in check. And I would consider myself a good leader now.
Good. How, being depressed, eating your feelings and doing everything that you did, I want to know personally, you know, and I know my listeners and viewers as well. How did you overcome those challenges? I know we fast forward, but if you could, give us a snippet of how did you overcome the challenges of being depressed, being overweight, being virtually, it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like it was a vicious cycle of you just not liking yourself.
Yeah, I hated myself. I hated myself. I hated the world. I hated everything around me. Um, it was being able to look in the mirror, one, and be honest with myself. Like, dude, you're depressed. Like, okay, so I'm gonna rephrase this. It was looking in the mirror and understanding one key thing, that I had become a victim. I had become a victim to my circumstances, and I wasn't taking ownership of anything. I was blaming the world for me gaining weight and becoming overweight. I was blaming my circumstances for me being overweight. I wasn't blaming the fact I had lost all discipline and was just eating and eating and eating and not exercising. Because before in the military, in the army, I would eat whatever the heck I wanted. Man, if I wanted to eat two large pieces, I would eat two large pieces. It was fine, because tomorrow I was going to go run 10 miles. I
Lucky
was going to
you.
burn. I was going to burn it all off. Like, it didn't matter. I could eat whatever I wanted, because I exercised so much, and I was just, my body was constantly going. So I mean, it won the thing, so I never had to worry about it. And then so I come out of the military, and I didn't even take that into account. That was my fault. That wasn't your fault. That was my fault. But I was blaming you, right? So I had to look at myself in the mirror and just say, Stephen, you've become the victim of
Hmm.
your circumstances, and it's no one's fault but your own, right? Did the military put me out? Yeah, they did. In hindsight, it was the right decision. I was damaged goods,
Right.
right? So did they do it to me? Yeah, but it's how I received that is my decision. It's my fault. So that was the biggest key. Is I decided right then and there, when I made that realization, that I was going to no longer be a victim, and I was going to change, and get my integrity back, get everything that I was back, and get who I am back. Because even after I got shot, I wasn't a victim. I don't. I'm not even mad at it. If the dude was still alive today, I wouldn't be mad at him. Like, hey, it was a war. You shot me. I was the enemy. Okay,
Right.
that's just part
Right.
of it. Like, I'm not mad at you. So it's. I just had to get over the victim mentality.
So it sounds like to me that you went from victim to champion. That's what it sounds like to me. From victim to
Absolutely.
champion, and which led you to renowned leadership.
Where we
So
lead
now
like champions, baby.
that's right. So now put it all into perspective. What are some of the focus? What is the focus area of renowned leadership? I was on your website and I couldn't help but to notice lead like a champion, and I think there were like 21 different ways to lead like a champion. If you don't mind explaining how you came up with that and the focus of renowned leadership now. Now that you have gone from victim to champion.
So leading like a champion, that's something I just used to say, like, to my guys, lead like a champion, like, just trying to psych them up. Like, we're about to go do this hard thing. We're about to be put in a massive amount of danger. Just lead like champions because we're champions. We're going to win. So it's just something I've always said. It really had no meaning until I gave it meaning when I created Renown. But leading like a champion, man, it's not just one sided. It's what are you doing in your life that needs to be changed, right? For me, I was a victim. I needed to change that. For Kayshawn, sorry,
Okay.
it may be, maybe, I don't know. You need to put yourself out there more.
Right.
Maybe you're too shy in your meetings. Maybe you're not putting your ideas on the table, right? Maybe that's what leading like a champion means for you. Maybe for Susie Q, she needs to get in better shape because, believe it or not, physical fitness is key to being a leader, right? Do you want to follow someone into combat that's overweight or can't run a mile?
That
No,
is true.
you got to be in shape, and I'm sorry to have to be the bearer of this bad news, but people's visual perceptions of you before you even speak, before you even introduce yourself, that has an impact on whether or not they want to follow you. That's just the hard truth. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Physical fitness is key. So maybe that is what you need to do to lead like a champion. It's whatever. When you look at the mirror, it's like, okay, so I'm a charismatic person, right? I'm an
Okay.
energetic person, right?
I can tell.
So right, so how do I need to improve, right? I think I have good integrity. I'm not perfect, but my integrity is pretty solid. So where do I need to improve? Maybe my people skills, because I'm pretty aggressive, so a lot of people are put off by my personality. Maybe I need to learn how to tone that back and improve that. That's what causes me to lead like a champion. When you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, my man, they didn't become the Super Bowl champions because they were constantly focusing on what they did well. Yes, they did focus on that and they practiced it to maintain it. But what they did was they figured out where they were weak and they didn't try to improve their weaknesses. They found ways to work around their weaknesses, right? I am naturally just this verbaceous person that is just really aggressive. The Army put that into me. I'm going to be that way my entire life. So how can I learn to work around that flaw, that weakness? Maybe I smile. Maybe I intentionally smile at people when I'm talking. I'm like, "Hey, man, how you doing?" And there's always a smile on my face, so
Right.
they know I'm not being aggressive.
There you
I'm
go.
happy to, right? So it's about finding the workarounds, not solving your weaknesses because that's hard and that's probably not going to happen. Let's find ways to work around our weaknesses so that we can just elevate ourselves, and that's how you lead like a champion.
I love it. One of the things that that's the foundation of our podcast for Champion Nation. There's one question that champions always ask themselves every single day, and that question is, "Can I do better?" And
Right.
when you look yourself in the mirror every single day, that's a question of a champion. And to me, basically, what you said it sums up, "Can I do better?" And you took that and you put some secret sauce on it and you got renowned leadership. So when you're looking at great leaders and when you're looking for great leaders, because I believe you do coach as well, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And we're going to touch on that as well. What are some of the things that you look for in great leaders?
Obviously, I've already said it. The first thing is integrity. You have to have integrity. But since I already talked about that, I'll move on. Don't want to bore you guys. The the next best thing, or the next thing I would say a great leader has to have, is a keen understanding to why.
Mm,
Why are they doing what they're doing? The next understanding they have to have is purpose. What is my purpose for what I'm doing? Right? The why, and people are like, well, that's the same thing. No, my why might be to help people become better leaders.
okay,
My purpose is to change the dynamic of business in general, right? So this
that's
is,
good.
if you think of it that way, the why and the purpose are two completely separate things, but they feed off each other and they have to be together. So
Absolutely.
when I look at for a great leader, it's what is his why and what is his purpose. And if you think about it, how many people do you know that if you said, what is your why today? What is your purpose today? How many people will be able to give you that answer?
Very few.
Very few.
Very
No one wants to ask that question. No
yeah.
one wants, because to answer that question, you have to really dive deep into who you are. And man, that's a scary place.
Yeah, and I think so. That's a great way to put it, Stephen. When you ask someone that question, it also makes them 100% responsible for their day.
Yeah,
That's the thing. So
100%.
a lot of people, and including myself at one point or another, we wanted to blame. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
I got fired. I got divorced. Kids don't want to talk to me. The army kicked me out, or this person did this, and you want to blame. It's so easy to do that. It
Yeah.
doesn't take any self discipline to do that. But if you ask me, hey, Kayshawn, what's your purpose? I'm like, oh, okay. Now, whatever I say, I'm responsible for my answer, and I'm responsible for executing everything that I say. So, we should go around asking people, "Hey, what's your purpose today?" Hey, man, leave me
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah. I ask people that all the time. What's your why? Why are you doing that? Why are you here? Why are you listening to me talk? Like, what do you? Why are you expecting to get something out of this? And when you add, like you said, I love how you said that. Like, it puts responsibility on us, and that's what we're trying to avoid,
Mm,
right? We're always trying to avoid responsibility, but the reality is think about going to the gym, right? We've all been to the gym at least
yeah,
once in our life. We've been to a
at least
gym
once.
at least
At
once,
least once.
and it was hard. It was
Right.
uncomfortable. It
Correct.
hurt, right? But ask, that I can't remember his name, that dude that's just shredded, that's always on TikTok saying, "Hey, counting calories is the wrong way to get like me." Like, I can't, man, I wish I could remember that dude's name. But he's got a legit system. I'm actually a member of his system. Like, his system's legit. I love
I've seen him
it.
before.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, ask him if the gym is hard. It's just part of his day, right? But did he start that way? Nah, it took years of beating on his craft, like Will Smith says. You got
Right.
to beat on that craft, and until you do, it's going to be hard. So when you do that self reflection, it's hard. It's easy for me today. Like, I do it every single day, multiple times a day. It's easy to look in the mirror and reflect on who I am inside. But and that responsibility, that pressure, I don't even shrug. It's nothing to me because I'm used to it. It's my daily craft. So once you get past that initial pain, that initial being uncomfortable, and just embrace the suck for a little bit, then it gets easier and easier and easier. Then it becomes a habit. Once it's become a habit, dude, you're on the path.
Absolutely. I want to go back to something that you said. You said it's easy now, or for you to look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself those reflective questions. It's easy now, and I know you've come a long way from where you were 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Just, but although it's easy now, and some viewer or some listener, they may say, yeah, it's easy now for me too. But in this particular area of my life, I'm still struggling. So can it is for easy? Is it's in its whole totality, or is it easy in certain categories of your life when it
Nah,
comes down
man,
to that question?
it's it's just easy. Like, I can, if my wife says, "Look, you're being an a hole
Right.
today for this reason," I'm like, "No, I'm not." And then I leave, I go reflect on whatever the fight was or whatever the argument was. And I'm sitting there reflecting on it, and it's like, you know what? She's absolutely right. I am being a jerk. And it's easy just, hey, you were right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be a jerk. This is what I was trying to do. This is what I did. And this is what I'm going to do to fix it. And, it's not a struggle. It may be a struggle sometimes to realize that I need to, but it's become such a practice, man, that it's just, it's a habit.
Speaking of habit, what are some of the common mistakes that you see leaders make in civilian life?
I would say the biggest is micromanaging. That's the biggest and probably the most destructive mistake. Don't micromanage people. It
Please
shows
don't.
lack of trust. It
It does.
shows lack of relationship. It shows lack of pretty much everything. All it does is reflect poorly on you. It is extremely destructive. But that's a long conversation. But in regards to what we're talking about, I would say the biggest mistake is lack of or not communicating your vision as a leader. Right? We either under communicate it, or we under communicate it / don't communicate it at all,
Mm.
or we over communicate it, which is actually worse, in my opinion. It's worse than under communicating. Because if you over communicate, all right, say I'm a vacuum salesman and I come to Kayshawn's house and I'm talking to you and your wife and your kids, I'm like, yo, this vacuum is the best and you need it because of this. And, about 10 minutes into my sales pitch, you're like, yeah, I like this.
Right?
But I don't stop. I just keep going for another 45 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. So you
There's no,
overshot yourself. I'm not listening.
yeah,
I'm not
at that,
buying anymore.
yeah, at that point, you're not buying.
Nope.
And there's no way I can reel that back and be like, whoa, 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 let's reverse time
No.
to where I can bring it back to the sweet spot. No, I've already oversold you. It's too
Yep.
late now.
Yep.
If I undersell you, I can re-engage. So overselling is way worse than underselling your vision. If you've oversold your vision, they're already not listening to you, and they're probably never going to listen to you again. If you undersell your vision, you can re-engage and be like, but hey, this is what my purpose is. But communicate that vision. Again, going back to the why. People need why. They need to understand their why. They get their purpose from their why. If they don't understand their why, they can't have purpose. If they don't have purpose, they can't be effective and proactive in what they're doing. The ultimate goal for any leader on the face of this planet should be to create a bunch of mini yous. Right? So we're constantly creating many leaders, many people that can think for themselves. People think in the military we're just robots and we're not taught to think for ourselves. Bull crap. That may have been the way it was done back in the day. That is definitely not how it's done today. I was a private leading training combat missions, just because they wanted to see if I could.
Wow.
Right? And that's all that all that does is build confidence. We were going through this training exercise. This is what we call a mass cal or mass casualty, where half my platoon got blown up. And this is simulation, it's not real, but half my platoon got blown up / killed. And everybody's just standing around looking. And, Private First Class Morris is like, hey, you go. And I just started directing people. I didn't care what their rank was. We needed to go.
Right.
And I got a lot of recognition from the sergeant major and the colonel and my company commander and my first sergeant, because they witnessed me do that. And they're like, dude, Morris, that's what's up. Good job. Way to whip people into shape. Maybe work on your tact when you're barking orders to a sergeant.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But they didn't once tell me I was bad for taking control, or it was bad that I took control of the situation. Sergeant was standing there not knowing what to do. He was in shock. That's fine. I'm not. I got this. So
Correct.
I mean, you got to create a bunch of mini leaders, and you can't. They can't do what I did unless they have their why and they have their purpose.
It sounds like, and I love leadership. I love the topic of leadership. But after talking to you, You make leadership a little hard. You're like, oh, hold on. Do I really want to be a leader after listening to after listening to Steven? I don't know about this leadership thing. And but for people that want to lead and know that they have the desire and the zeal and the zest to lead, you have a coaching class or a coaching company to empower champions or to create champions. Touch on that.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, leadership is hard. It is hard because before you can lead anyone, you have to lead yourself, and that's the hardest thing in the world to do. So yeah, leadership is hard, but there's nothing in my life that I've done that was worth doing that wasn't hard. Everything that was worth it, everything that I hold near and dear to me, man, it was a lot of work. It was hard to get, right? You go tell Patrick Mahomes all that hard work he did to win the Super Bowl wasn't worth it. Of course it was worth it. So,
Absolutely.
the second thing I'll say is it doesn't matter if you want to be a leader. The fact of the matter is you are one. Right? Everybody's born a leader. A leader is someone that influences other people. I don't know if I assume you have kids. I don't know their
I do.
ages. We're going to say you have a 6-year-old.
Okay.
I guarantee you that your 6-year-old leads somebody because he or she has influence on one of his friends, one of her friends. That makes him/her a leader, right? Just by
Correct.
definition.
Correct.
So if you're a mom, if you're a dad, you're a leader. If it doesn't matter your position, your title, your pay, none of that matters. It's about the influence you have on other people, which makes you a leader. That being said, you should, knowing that you are a leader to somebody, because I said you're a leader. I didn't say you're a good one. That's a big
That's it.
understanding, right? So, you need help. You need to learn. You need somebody to mentor you, to guide you. If you can go find someone that'll do it for free, great. Go find somebody. Everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs a mentor. I don't care who you are, what you are. Go find me a professional musician, a professional athlete, um, you know, a professional artist of any kind. Go, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, any of them, a politician, and show me an actor that doesn't have a coach and a mentor.
You can't find one.
So why do you, Kayshawn, not have a coach or a mentor? Right? If it's so important for all these other people,
That is true.
why don't you have one? We all need one.
That
And
is
so
true.
that's why I came up with my coaching/mentoring program that I have in Renowned Leadership. It's because I want to be that person, because I have a very good understanding of what goes into it. Now, with that being said, it is not for everybody. I am not for everybody. I'm intense, and I'm gonna.
I would imagine. I would imagine. Like,
I,
get over there. Get over there. Stop. Shut up.
I am going to. I try to keep it professional and polite, but I am going to tell you the truth as I see it, and
That's
I'm
what we
going to
need,
challenge
though.
you.
We need that. We need that.
And I'm going to push you. And I'm not the most expensive out there, but I'm not the cheapest either. Because I believe in, putting your skin, putting the rubber where it meets the road, putting your skin in the game, going all in on yourself. That's what I believe in. So my prices, they're not cheap, and that's okay. But I don't care. At the end of the day, go find yourself somebody. Get yourself
Absolutely.
a mentor. Get yourself a coach. If you got to pay for them, great. And to me, that's better than free any day of the week.
Absolutely.
Because I have, my dad is the best mentor of my life. And do you know how often I listen to him? Freaking never,
Yeah, of course.
ever. I'm 40 years old, and I still will argue with my dad to this day. He'll say, "Jar, don't do that," or Steven. He'll say, "Steven, don't do that," and I'll be like, "Whatever, old man. You don't know. This is 2023. How about you calm down?"
That
you
is too
know,
funny.
but my when I started my business, I hired a coach. It cost me $30,000. You
Okay.
bet your sweet butt I listened to him.
Absolutely. 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 No, that makes sense. You get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
You got to have some skin in the game. That's a form and a level of appreciation. When you give stuff to people for free, they don't treat it the same. I totally agree and
Right.
totally understand that. And time is slipping away. Gosh, I told you I could talk about leadership all day long, but I do have one question before my last question. What advice? I know someone is listening to our podcast and watching us on YouTube. Um, what advice would you give to aspiring leaders at this point in life, 2023, with all that's going on? What advice would you give aspiring leaders?
Hmm. This one caught me off guard. I wasn't prepared for this. All right. How you do the small things or how you do everything. If you don't make your bed in the morning and you just leave your room all messy, your life is going to be messy. You got to be intentional about how you do the small things. The small things matter. Small adds up to be very, very large. All the small contacts I've made early on in my career, those are pretty big contacts now. We have great relationships, and I could call them pretty much about anything. Like, hey, we're marching the gates of hell. You in? I'll be there tomorrow. Right? Like these are people that have my back 24/7, no matter what. And they started off as small. How we do the small things, whether it's relationships, taking care of what we have, taking care of ourselves. If you let yourself be sloppy in your appearance, your life is going to be sloppy.
I
You
love it.
gotta focus on the little things.
I love it. There's a scripture in the great book of life. It said, if you can be faithful over a few, you can be
Yeah,
faithful over many.
yeah.
How can someone that's interested in your individual coaching classes, how could they connect with you and schedule a free strategy call?
Yeah, absolutely. You just go to Renowned, Renowned. It's Renowned, not Renown, Renowned with the ED, renownedleadership.com. And at the top right hand corner, as soon as you get to the homepage, it's going to say book a call. You just click on that, put in your email address, put in your name, and click submit. That is literally it. And it's going to take you to my calendar, and you pick your day, and we'll meet for 90 minutes.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. How could people get in contact with you? I know you have so many social media channels, and I believe, do you have your own podcast as well?
Yeah, I got my own podcast. It's
Okay.
Renowned Leadership. It's on all the major podcast hosting places: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, all of them. So just go to whatever you like to listen to, type in Renowned Leadership, and it's going to pop up. Also, if you just want to get in contact with me, probably the best way to do it is LinkedIn. Search Stephen J. Morris, Stephn J. Morris. And there's not many of me. Just look for the Renowned Leadership lion. It's a lion graphic. Says Renowned Leadership under it. That's me. And that's the best way. Or you can email me, sjmorris@renownedleadership.com.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, listeners. Have a champion, transformative leadership day. Take care.